next witness.
I call Brian Johnson. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give to the court and the jury on the matter currently pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please take a seat, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, could you please state your name for the court and jury, please, sir?
Yes, my name is Brian Johnston. I'm sorry?
Could you spell your last name for the court?
Yes, it's Johnston.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm an agent for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and currently I am the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the Child Exploitation and Computer Crimes Unit.
Are you a certified law enforcement officer for the state of Georgia, sir?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been certified, sir?
All total, September of this year will be 20 years. I've been with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. It was 14 years in February of this year. Prior to GBI, I was a parole officer with the State Board of Pardons and Paroles.
Mr. Johnson, I'd like to take you back to March 22nd through March 25th, 2011. Do you recall being involved in an investigation with at Clark County police officer shooting incident, sir?
I was on March 25th.
Would you please tell the jury your involvement with this case, or what involvement you had on March 25th, 2011, sir?
Sure, I came down to Athens on the afternoon of March 25th to assist in the investigation. By that time, the investigation had gone on for several days. I had nothing to do with the initial part of the investigation. I just simply came down here to provide assistance, and so that we would have plenty of manpower in case the investigation required more days.
Was you involved in this alleged hostage situation at all?
I conducted several interviews. The interviews that I conducted were actually with acquaintances and family members of people who claimed to be with Hood at that time.
Could you tell us what family member? Do you recall specifically Mr. Quentin Riddick, family member? Did you talk to them?
I talked to a Gary Bernard Wrighton, who was the uncle of Quentin Dion Wrighton.
Okay. Specifically, as for Mr. Wrighton, what did he tell you pertaining them to?
He said that on the 25th that he received a text message from Quentin Dion Wrighton, and that text message indicated to him that he was with Hood, being held against his will.
Did you in any way, what did you do about that? Did you record it in any way or get a written report on that? How did you handle that?
Sure, I conducted the interview with Mr. Wrighton, and he provided me with his cell phone and actually took a photograph of the text message.
Okay. What text message, what photograph did you take a picture of? What photograph did you get from the text message? Could you explain that?
I can read you the text message.
Okay.
This text message was from Dion. It says, "Jim Hood got me at gunpoint."
Did they have a date and time on that text message, sir?
The time was 3:05 p.m. and according to Gary Bernard Wrighton, it was on March 25th.
March 25th.
That's correct.
What did you, yeah, I see that. Good. Is there a way, we can let the jury see them, I can introduce them to everybody?
Start with you seeing them if you want to.
Okay.
Please. first, and then Mr. Hall.
Mr. Johnson, would you mind if I keep this for exhibit, introduce it to the jury? Would you mind, could I present this evidence? Would you mind if I take your copy?
I certainly don't mind. That's not really up to me, though.
I don't never recall seeing this before.
It was served long time ago. That's part of all this stuff.
If you're seeking to admit it, just lay your foundation, and then we'll see.
I have no objection to this.
That's gonna be 44.
What is it, 42, 43?
It's 44.
44. That's 44, submitted by stipulation.
You got a little red laser, sir, up there, it's a little thing here. Could you please explain the defendant exhibit 44 to the jury, how you come to get this picture and what it is?
Sure.
Explain what it is?
This is the cell phone that Mr. Ryden brought in, had in his possession at the time when I conducted the interview.
Excuse me, when you say Mr. Wright, who are you talking about, Gary, or you talking about?
Gary, yes, sir.
Okay. So, please tell us what this is.
Okay, this is a photograph of the text message that he said was the text message that he received from Quentin Dion Ryden, his nephew.
Okay, did he have any other messages, or do you have any more messages up there?
Not on the screen, there were more messages though, yes.
I mean, do you have more pictures up there?
I do.
Okay, could I please see them, sir?
Sure.
Do you mind if I admit these, or let them? Do you mind if I use them as exhibits, sir?
Once again, I don't mind, but I don't think that's up to me.
I have no objection, Judge. Please close.
Two of them, sir. That'd be 45 and 46.
45 and 46.
Yes, sir.
Submitted by stipulation.
Could you explain what defendant exhibit 45 here is, sir? Could you explain that?
Yes, Gary Ryden said that after he received that first text message, that he placed a series of phone calls, which were mostly all unanswered, to his nephew. And at some point, the phone call was answered by his nephew, and he confirmed, in fact, that that the first text message was legitimate, and that was what was going on. So at that point, Gary Ryden found a police officer who was nearby and relayed the information from that first text message and from the phone conversation with Quentin Dion Ryden to that officer. At that point, the officer actually texted this to Quentin Dion Ryden.
Okay. Could you explain what defendant exhibit 46 is, sir?
Yes, that is the response from Quentin Dion Ryden to the text message that we just saw. And the interpretation of that from Gary Ryden was that was quickly written, and to him it meant Montrell Hull.
Was it Mandrell Hall?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, Mandrell Hull.
Okay. Did you make Mr. Ridden show you this phone and he take permission from Dion Ridden? Did you force him or threaten him in a way for him to show you this phone and he take messages?
Absolutely not.
After you talked to Mr. Gary Bernard Ridley, did you talk to anyone else, sir?
I talked to Anita Hull prior to talking to Gary Ryden, and also talked to Ronald Phillips after speaking to Gary Bernard Ryden.
Okay, was that pertaining to the alleged hostages?
That's correct.
Could you tell us about Ms. Anita Hull and the conversation pertaining to the alleged hostages?
Sure. She was at the police station. She had gotten a text also from Mondrell Hull, who was her son, beginning at approximately 3:16 on March 25th. And the message that she received was unusual to her, and she felt that something was wrong. And she had later learned that her son was possibly with Hood, and so that raised her concern, so she came to the police department.
Okay, do you have any pictures of them text messages, sir?
I do.
Can I please see them, sir? So would you mind if I use your exhibits as for the jury? Would you mind if I introduce these to evidence to the jury?
Once again, I certainly don't mind, but I don't believe it's up to me.
We have a, necessarily an objection on the first one. I know it hasn't been marked, but there's one that has writing at the top. And, I assume that's the, also writing kind of, because it's hard to read, is that, I assume that's what that is, so. If we clarify that, I don't have an objection to those either, Judge. Clarify that one up there, all right?
Just, well, if you intend to introduce them, I would say go ahead and mark them, and that way you can refer to what.
Let me come, so I can give you a correct number. Judge, that's, our last one was 46, and it'll be 12, so whatever you 15. Could you explain what that writing is up there on the first, what it is it for itself?
Sure. I wrote that. It says, "I'm okay, trust me, love you." It was the actual content of the text message. And the reason I did that is because the flash, when I took this picture, kind of distorted the image. And you can read it if you hold it in the in the right way, but admittedly, it wasn't the best picture in the world. So I wrote that for my own benefit for today.
Mr. Mullins,
Any objections to 47 through
Those are
58?
good.
They're admitted.
could you please explain what Exhibit 47 is to the jury, please, sir?
Yes, that was the first text message that Miss Anita Hull received from Mandrell Hull. It was about 3:16 p.m. And if you'll slide that down just a little bit, where my writing is, a little bit more. You can't even see that. The content, essentially the content of that message is, I'm okay, trust me, and I love you. And that was the message that Ms. Hull received from her son.
Okay. Could you please explain to the jury what defendant I think I have a problem with all the focusing on the addition like that. You know how? Can you explain what defendant Exhibit 48 is to the jury, please, sir?
Yes, that is a message from, it's a little distorted now. It says, "You okay?" That's a message from Mandrell to his mother. And actually, that one is out of order from the text messages, the series of text messages that were sent back and forth. That was later on. There's some more in front of that.
Well, I'm not gonna show them to y'all for time purposes, but all these pictures you had is from the Exhibit 47 to 58, or those text messages from Mr. Mandrell Hull and his mom.
They were, and at some point, the mother was a little confused. She didn't really text too well. One of the messages that was sent to Mandrell, I think maybe her daughter had sent that, because after she got that first one, she was concerned, and she was asking her daughter and stuff how, what that meant. And I think her daughter actually sent one of the messages. But essentially, yes.
Okay, could you tell us what's the exhibit, defendant Exhibit 52, sir? I see. Okay, I see how you do it now. Okay. Okay. Well, I just have to read it, of the thing going crazy. Can you tell what that is? We need to focus a little more in it. Yeah, I just have to read it. I I don't know what it's on. Okay, I got it. I might have it with this, but, okay, this will look better. Want me to have him read it? You can hand it to me. Yeah, I just hand it to him, cause this. Defendant Exhibit 52.
Thank you.
It has to do with so much black and white contrast.
Might be the picture itself. I've been doing it. Yeah, that's what it is. I put my hand over the light. Oh, I see how to do it now. You can make this little light move like this, I ain't know that.
You ask him to do something out and come back.
Yeah, I can get it back so they can see it. Mr. Johnson, sir, could you please explain what's in the defendant exhibit 52, sir?
Yes, that is a text message from Mandrell Hull to his mother. It says, tell everyone to stop calling. I'm straight, and get somebody to call them police and tell them don't make this man mad. And that was at 4:20 p.m.
Could you tell us what's in the defendant exhibit 58, sir?
That's another text message. Again, it's from Mandrell to his mother's cell phone, 6:08 p.m. Okay, we all right. We would have been gone, but the police done made him mad.
All right. You get light on there. Okay, Mr. Johnson, you said that you talked to Mr. Ronaldo Billup, father Ronald Billup, sir, that's correct?
Yes,
Could you tell us about that?
yes. Mr. Ronald Billups reported to the police station earlier in the day, around 9 o'clock that morning. He had received a phone call from Ronaldo Billups. Ronaldo wanted to speak to his mother, who wasn't present at the time. Everything seemed okay at that time, nothing unusual. Later in the day, Ronald received a message on his door that he needed to come to the police department. He learned at some point during the day that Ronaldo was possibly being held against his will and was with Hood. So he reported to the police department.
Do you have any phones, anything about his phone call with Mr. Ronaldo Billups at the time during that day, sir? Anything? Do you have any text messages, phone recordings?
No, actually, there was a phone call placed during the course of the interview that some of that conversation was actually recorded in the audio recording of that interview.
Okay, have you had a chance to review that recording? What did you record it?
Yes,
Okay. Tell the jury, how do you record that?
with a digital recorder, just a standard digital recorder that you can get at Radio Shack.
Okay, do you recall some of them, when the last time you reviewed that, conversation by the phone?
During the course of this week, when I was preparing for this case for
Okay.
trial.
Could you give us a synopsis of what you recall off that, pertaining to Mr. Ronaldo Billups and his father, sir?
Sure.
I would, at this point, respectfully object to going into what Ronald Billups may have said. I know we went into some about text messages, and I want to start to go into a particular interview in that regard. I would respectfully object that you do so.
Try, prevent the blame taken.
I don't think you can play the tape either. I would object to that.
got a constitutional duty to seek the truth. If we can hear him on there, and we can hear Mr. Miller talking to him, that can't be hearsay.
I'm going to allow it, but I do believe it's hearsay.
But I would say it go to investigative purposes, not as far as.
I'll allow him to answer the question.
Could you give us a synopsis of what you talked to Mr. Ronald Phillips pertaining to his son, late Officer Mr. Ronaldo Phillips, sir?
Essentially, Ronaldo said he was okay, that nobody had been hurt, that Hood was going to surrender himself once certain demands were made, and essentially those demands were that he wanted his mother and his attorney.
Do you recall listening to a phone conversation with Ronaldo's mom, Miss Elevin, what name is Elevin, his mom, I can't pronounce her name. Do you recall recording a conversation with her after while Mr. Ronald Phillips was there on March 25th, 2011, doing it, recorded the interview at some time?
That's correct. It was during the same.
Wait just a minute, now, who was that?
Then his mom and dad was out there at the same time, and this recording got Ronaldo Phillips on the phone while he was in the house doing his alleged hostage situation, and that's what the recording is, and that's why I subpoenaed him, because I heard it and I got his name on it, and this go to is that
Who was the interview with?
Mr. Ronald Phillips and Miss Elvin, what's her name, Elvin Phillips?
Is the witness, do you have her name?
Yes, sir. It's Evelyn.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's her name. Do you recall talking to her, or is she the mother of Mr. Ronaldo Phillips? Do you recall?
Yes, as far as I know, she was. Yes.
And the father of Mr. Ronaldo Phillips is Ronald Phillips, do you recall?
Yes.
Were they both out there at the same time at the jail, or wherever they were pertaining to a late Officer Ronaldo Phillips?
Yes.
Do you recall hearing Mr. Ronaldo Phillips call in and talk to his dad and mom on March 25th, 2011?
Yes.
pertaining to James Hood?
Yes.
Could you,
I'll allow him.
could you give us a synopsis on what you heard or remember about Mr. Ronaldo Phillips talking to his mom, Miss Phillips, and his father, Mr. Phillips, on March 25th, 2011, sir?
Yes, it's the same thing. It was all during the same conversation. What occurred was Ronaldo was talking to Ronald, his father, and then he asked to speak to his mother, so we went and got his mother, and he spoke to his mother. But the content of the conversation was what we already discussed, was that no one was hurt, and that once certain demands were met, they were going to be let go.
Do you recall during that conversation, Mr. Ronaldo Phillips stated during that conversation that you recalled that if we were some white people, they would have been let us go? Do you recall him saying that?
There was something to that effect in there, yes.
Well, did you have any other involvement in this case, Mr. Johnson?
I was present during the crime scene search of the Creekstone duplex.
Well, I have no further questions, sir.
Mr. Molly?
Johnson, from anything you found, there was never any indication either of those folks were anything but hostages, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
In fact, that's what you really got when you wound up going through that, with all the text and even all your part of your investigation, is that right?
That is correct.
When you basically participated in the search of that residence, 102 Creekstone, that was led by Steve Foster, there was that weapon, that Smith & Wesson 40 caliber weapon, isn't that right?
That is correct.
And that was on the coffee table in the room there?
Yes, sir, it was.
And there was a box of ammo also that y'all found in there, was that correct?
That is correct.
And you found evidence in the back bedroom that the mattress had been put up against the window just to barricade any exit out of that particular bedroom, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And it appeared that folks were holed up in there somehow for a couple of days, really against their will. Isn't that what you found?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, in fact, that first one, defendant's exhibit 44, I have that, please. And all those.
Get them off.
Text from Dion Ryden to his uncle, Gary Ryden, said, Jim Hood got me at gunpoint, right?
Yes, sir.
And that was the first text message that Gary Ryden had, isn't that right?
That is correct.
He tried to call him back numerous times according to what you understood from the uncle Gary Ryden, isn't that right?
That is correct.
And numerous times those phone calls were unanswered, right?
That is correct.
And finally, he was able to speak to Quentin Ryden at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, he wound up going then to report it to the police, not too long after he had that particular phone conversation.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay? And because he was concerned about his nephew, Quentin Wright, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And from all that, you said an officer, these other messages about this to Dion was typed not by Gary Ryden, but by the officer after he reported it to the police, right?
That is correct.
And he was using basically Gary Ryden's cell phone to do that, right?
That is correct.
Where he wound up typing, is everything okay? Who's with you? Where are you at exactly? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay? And Dion said, OF Matt, right?
That's correct.
Which was understood to be Mandrell Hull. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And these other messages from Mandrell Hull, went on, and the one at 420, tell them don't make this man mad. That was the end of that particular one that's marked as Station or Defense Exhibit 52, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were interviewing Gary Ryden around started at 7:20 in the evening on March 25th, right?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, everybody was still inside that location at 102 Creekstone Drive, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And all that was a very, very tense situation that everybody had that went on from middle afternoon until late in the evening, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
That's all I have of this Agent Johnson.
Brief. Mr. Johnson, what time, do you recall what time that, Mr. If you look at Defendant Exhibit 46, sir. Okay. What time did it say on that exhibit there?
Friday, March 25th, 3:37 p.m.
3:37. Were you aware what time were you aware that I called the police station, talked to a GBI agent about to turn himself in? Was you aware that James Hood had called and y'all found out where he was because he was on the phone talking to him?
That's a leading question of this witness.
Were you aware that Jamie Hood, that I called and wanted to turn myself in?
I was not.
Do you know what time did I call into the police station?
I do not know.
But that said 3:37 p.m., correct?
Yes, it does.
And did that come from Mr. Ritten's cell phone to his uncle?
Yes.
No further questions.
Anything else?
Yes, sir, Judge.
Maybe excused?
Yes, sir.
Excused.
Thank you.
All right, next witness.
Your Honor, this was gonna be kind of long, and I took them field, and it's only,
This is the jury room. Brief recess.